The Kansas City Chiefs are adding reinforcements to their defense. The Super Bowl champs have added a linebacker and a safety. Two players that I'm familiar with and two players that I do like. Beginning with Mike Edwards of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who started in that Super Bowl versus the Chiefs in their win over Kansas City. And Patrick Mahomes. Mike Edwards, 1 year, $3 million. Worth up to $5 million. And what I believe he will be is a replacement to Juan Thornhill, primarily as the team's third safety. I see him as a good third safety. Mike Edwards is a player that is instinctive. He is smart. He is a bit of a ball hawk. He's had a lot of interceptions in his career. And as a Pats fan, who's also a huge Brady fan, I've seen a lot of Mike Edwards because Mike Edwards was on that team from 2020 through 2022 with Tampa Bay. He is 26 years old. He is turning 27 in May. He's 5'11", 205. He is to me, a free safety. But Tampa Bay this season tried to make him more of a box player and nickel player. And I think they forced him into a lot of uncomfortable scenarios where ultimately he did not play as well as he typically does. I think at times he was a little bit lost. He took risks he probably shouldn't have. And I think it was a lack of experience at that position. To me, he is a Juan Thornhill 3 safety formation replacement as a deep single safety. That's what Thornhill did. Play deep, okay? When it's, especially on passing downs to match up with 3-4 receiver sets in the shotgun, Mike Edwards will be in the middle of the field and he'll be ball hawking. That's what he does best. Now, can he play in the box a little bit? Can he play on coverage snaps? Yes, but Mike Edwards to me is not a guy that you want to really have in man coverage a lot. He's not a super athlete. He's not great moving sideways, horizontal. He's a guy that you want looking at the football. You want looking at the football, you want tracking the football, and you want him to be able to read and react to the football. And that's what he's good at. To me, as a Pats fan, one player comp I saw to him throughout his career is Duron Harmon. Right? He's a guy that when forced to play more snaps, he can be maybe a little bit exposed out of his element. But as a third safety, a complement to two starters, he is very good. Like he's great in that niche role of what he's really good at. He had two interceptions last year, 1 pick six, 2 pick sixes the year before. So he is a guy that picks the ball off and he can create a big play from it and go to the house. He had 3 interceptions the year before that and 2 the year before that. So he is a guy that picks the ball off a couple times every season, and he makes big plays. Last year, he had the most tackles of his career. It's been reported by Ian Rappaport that he had a career season. He did in terms of snaps played, time played, games started, tackles, right, volume. But in terms of his actual quality of play, he played much better in 2020 and 2021. In 2020, he was a player where their defense was so stacked, if you recall their Super Bowl winning year, and he didn't play as much as he probably should have, but it was more because of the competition. And then in 2021, he played a little bit more, and he played well. And then in 2022, he played a little bit more, and he played not that well. So what I would expect is he replaces Thornhill in that role, but he plays more as a complement. He doesn't play every snap, okay? And that would basically be what his contract suggests. So given the role and the importance of it in this defense for the Chiefs with Spags, and given that Mike Edwards is coming from a defense that likes to be aggressive in Tampa Bay, likes to blitz, and Spagnuolo also at times likes to blitz and be aggressive. There is some carryover in terms of philosophy and scheme from Bowles to Spagnuolo. So there is some carryover there. So I like this fit. It made sense to me as soon as I saw it. And I said, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. I see it. Mike Edwards is going to fit right in to Kansas City. And honestly, I think he's going to play better than he did last year because I think Spagnuolo is going to have a better idea of what to do with him and what not to do with him, given, what he did well in Tampa Bay and what he didn't do well. And I think this is one of the cases of a smart front office seeing a player that might be a bit of a value, and like the Patriots have for so many years, kind of taken a player and said, okay, you're not going to do that anymore. You're going to do this. This is what you're good at. You're going to do that. And that's the type of player Mike Edwards is. There's a lot of these type of players in the NFL, but smart front offices and smart coaching staffs can actually identify these things and put them into places to succeed. So I think your safety rotation is built pretty good here with Brian Cook, Justin Reed, right? Brian Cook is the box guy. Then you've got Justin Reed as the kind of hybrid Tyrann Mathieu. And then you've got Mike Edwards as the Juan Thornhill replacement. He's not as good as Thornhill, obviously, due to the contract, but he's a pretty nice budget replacement. Now you can spend money potentially on your defensive line or receiver or whatever. So I like the addition here for the Chiefs. Then you've got Drue Tranquill. Now, Drue Tranquill, for whatever reason, I'm having some issues pronouncing his name. Tranquill was one of my favorite linebackers on the market. I thought he would go a little bit cheaper than most of the other linebackers, mostly due to the fact that he's had a lot of injuries. He's struggled to stay healthy. He's 27 years old. He's 6'2", 234. He's a little bit on the smaller end for linebackers, but he's not undersized, I would say. But this last year was the only year where he played like 16, 17 games. But when he's played in his career, he's played really well for the Chargers. Now, I do question the fit a little bit. Like, how well does he fit with the Chiefs? Usually with the Chargers, they like the undersized guys who aren't like going to be super active in the running game. They're guys that can move in space and play the passing game. And that's what Tranquill's really good at. Tranquill's a really good cover linebacker. He's really good in space, and he's kind of instinctual in coverage. Like, he just has a savvy to it. Like, he understands it. So Tranquill's pretty good in coverage, moves really well, smart player, playmaker. Last year, 1 interception, 4 passes defense, 1 forced fumble, 5 sacks, was active as a blitzer, 146 tackles, just racked it up. 10 tackles for loss, 8 quarterback hits, 76 tackles the year before that, 1.5 sacks. So Tranquill, his numbers would actually suggest he's a better run defender than I would think off the surface. But, I always kind of saw him as like that athlete that's good in coverage. But all around, he's a pretty solid linebacker, honestly. So he's somebody that I just didn't really understand the signing when I saw it, because I already think you guys got good linebackers. So I was a little bit taken back by it. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit kind of confused by the signing, because you do have Willie Gay and you do have Nick Bolton, who are 2 good linebackers. Like, Nick Bolton, very solid. Willie Gay, more of that kind of coverage to Nick Bolton. And then Leo Chanel, I like Leo Chanel. I really like Leo Chanel. Now, maybe the team doesn't like him as much as I do, but I really like Leo Chanel, especially as a run defender. Now, maybe they see Drue Tranquill as a different type of player, and maybe, I don't know, maybe they just want depth at that position. Maybe they value that. Maybe they see a steal and an undervalued player. I don't know, really. But I do think that he's better than the contract. 1 year, $5 million. I think that's cheap for a player as good as Drue Tranquill when he plays. So maybe they're just taking a chance on a guy that, hey, if he stays healthy, sure, we'll take him. That's a bonus for us. That's huge. But if he doesn't, oh well, we already got good players here. So it's not a big deal. So Drue Tranquill, somebody I really like as a football player. If he can stay healthy, he's a huge, underrated, under the radar addition. But I would have preferred him to go to a different team, just because I feel like he should be a starter in this league. And on Kansas City, it doesn't really make sense for him to play a regular role, unless Kansas City all of a sudden decides to go to more base personnel. So, good player, just kind of a weird fit, weird signing. Maybe the Chiefs could have used money elsewhere, right? I don't know. So, Drue Tranquill and Mike Edwards to Kansas City.